So I'm going to call this code enforcement customer service and ask them a few questions based on this notice of parking violation and intent to notify DMV letter that I received.
Good morning, customer service.
Yeah, hi. I'm calling in response to a notice of parking violation with the intent to notify DMV. I had a couple questions.
Okay.
Um,
Let me, sorry. Let me pull up the citation. Do you have the citation number with you?
yeah, but that doesn't really have anything to do with the questions I have. I just got a couple questions just to kind of clarify some stuff, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is a demand for money with intent to harm or escalate harm considered extortion? Like legally?
You know what? That's a question that I honestly could not answer.
Because you're legally not allowed, or because you don't know?
I really don't know.
Oh.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, let me put it to you this way then instead. Would it be okay for me to tell a neighbor to give me money, or I will harm him or cause him loss of life, liberty, or property?
I mean, the way that sounds, it doesn't sound very good.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So on this notification, it says with intent to notify DMV. Do you have any ideas what happens, what actions the DMV will take?
Yeah, so if the citation is or this notification is not handled, we'll go ahead and send, we get the records from DMV, and, well, the citation's written, we get the information back from the DMV to verify, you know, we wrote the citation for the correct person, and then from there, a penalty is added, and then when the penalty is added, because whenever the citation is not handled, is when we send a report to the DMV, and that's basically, so if you go to register the car, they'll be able to see that is unpaid.
So they'll prevent me from registering the car if there's a note on there, a flag or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if I drive around without registration, what can happen if I drive around without registration?
Well, legally, you're supposed to drive with registration.
But if I don't, if I'm not able to because the DMV won't allow me to, and it's my only mode of transportation, then how, if I don't pay this alleged violation and the DMV restricts my ability to register the vehicle and I drive around without registration, what happens?
Let me...
I mean, what I'm asking is it okay? Is it legal to drive around without?
No.
So what will happen as a result to me illegally driving around without registration? Is my vehicle going to get impounded? Will it get towed away and taken from me?
Yeah, it can result in fines and fees, and then the vehicle, if it's been expired for 6 or more months, the vehicle may also be impounded.
And then what happens if it gets impounded and I don't have money to pay to get it out of impound? Does it get sold in auction or something, or?
Yeah, I guess they will hold the car.
I'm just trying to find out exactly to what end this can escalate to. You know what I mean? So this alleged violation, if I appeal it or whatever terminology, and then they say, no, you still got to pay, and it's incorrect. It's not just for me to have to pay something that's incorrect.
From there.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, you'd file the administration review form.
So.
And from there, you'd get a notification stating whether or not you're liable. And then after that, if they do say you're liable, you can still ask for a hearing. But that's got to be within, I believe, I don't know how many days after that notification's been sent.
Because someone says you have to do it. Isn't that like not just going about your business and, you know, minding your own business? Isn't that like you're being forced to do something? If you don't comply, then the extent of, you know, that they're willing to go to is basically bodily harm or theft of your property?
You know, these are questions that not only I don't handle at all.
Right. No, I'm not trying to really put you on the spot. I just want to kind of clarify my position.
I don't know the answer to, but I would definitely be more than happy to get the answer for you or have somebody give you that answer. I can see if my supervisor, she actually may be able to answer that. She should, actually. She does citations as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe she can help me with some of the other questions I have.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to hold, or do you want me to have her give you a call?
No, I can hold on for a sec.
Okay.
Is she available, or?
She's with somebody at the counter, but it looks like she's almost done wrapping things up. Do you want to wait for a second?
Yeah, I'll wait.
Okay.
That's fine. Thanks.
Hi, this is Cheryl. I understand you had some questions about the parking citation process?
Yeah, not so much the process, but, well, I guess maybe parts of the process, but I just had some questions for clarity on my part.
Okay. I'll see if I can help you.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I don't mean to be a pain. I just want clarification on a couple issues with this, just because it's
You're talking about a parking ticket, right?
Yeah, I got a notice of a parking violation with intent to notify DMV.
Okay, yeah, that's the letter that's generated for anybody who has a letter. A citation. We have to assume if it blows off in the wind or something. We just want to make sure you're aware there's a citation out there.
Right. Okay. So the DMV, I was told that they can put a hold or restriction on any future registration.
Yes, if it's not paid, it's called a parking hold.
Okay. All right. And then if I don't take care of that or pay what's being demanded of me, then and I drive around without registration because I'm not able to get registration, then it can ultimately get impounded. And if I don't pay for the impound fees, then it can ultimately get sold at auction, and I'm basically out, right?
You're thinking you want to know the worst case scenario? I suppose that would be it.
Okay.
I suppose. Yeah, most people, if they can't register it, you know, you're kind of subject to whatever the fines for the state of California are for not registering a vehicle. That doesn't really have anything to do with the citation, though. The citation is just going to tag on whatever the fee is and a $26 late fee. That's the most we ever charge. We don't keep accruing late fees, in other words.
Let me see. How long does it take before you guys notify the DMV? I mean, how?
It varies. It depends on a few different factors. So we know that there's a delinquent date, and we always try to give a little bit more time from that delinquent date before it is attached to, the file is sent to the DMV. But always there's going to be some citations that are like a month past the delinquent date, and then others that it's the day after the day, just because we get citations every day that we have to put in the system.
Right.
So it depends on where you fall in that process.
Okay, so you're a code enforcer, or is that part of your title?
I'm Customer Services Division. We do the administrative portion. You see those. Before Christy came on board, it was my name at the bottom of those letters.
Okay.
And she's just the one that puts the citations from the police department into the computer system so that we can generate a letter to notify you that there's an outstanding citation. That's where we look at the number of days afterwards that you have to pay for, and then the late fee will go on there, and then the file is sent to the DMV. We do that from here, but we're not code enforcement. We're just the administration portion. No problem. That's fine. Even recorded is fine. But if you're press, you need to tell me because you need to talk to someone else.
Yeah.
Are you from the press?
No.
Okay.
No.
And that's just because I could get in trouble for telling you something if I knew you were press. So.
Oh, I see. All right. So one of the questions I have written is there any evidence that law has been broken with this
not here.
letter of notice?
I'm sure
or the police department captures images. In fact, on each citation, there's a portion kind of toward the top, not at the top, but toward the top that says photo, and there's a Y or an N. We presume that the photographic evidence would be evidence of the violation. Alleged violation, let's say alleged, because it's not a court of law.
Right.
That this alleged violation has occurred, and they're notifying you that this alleged violation has occurred. Alleged violation, let's say alleged, because it's not a court of law.
Right.
That this alleged violation has occurred, and they're notifying you that this alleged violation has occurred. So, I guess basically, in a nutshell, a parking citation is a notification that the alleged violation has occurred.
Okay.
It's just simply that you were cited.
Well, it said a notice to appear also, yeah?
Yeah, but that's not...
That's just part of the broadness of it.
Yeah, notice to appears. I've seen those. Those are scary. Those are moving violations, and they say right on the top, notice to appear, and it'll give you the address to appear.
Okay. So, as far as like a parking citation, I mean, ultimately they're asking for money, right?
Or if you didn't do it, then you would fill out an administrative review form, and a lot of those are overturned at that level. So that they review the facts as stated, they review their documentation, their photographic evidence if they have any, and the administrative hearing officer decides that it wasn't warranted, or that justice is not served by this, or other extenuating circumstances, he will overturn the citation. In fact, sometimes we've had whole blocks of citations voided. That's why it's frustrating for me when I get something in the mail and they haven't, it's a money order, there's no name, and then they overturn the citations. I don't know who to refund the money to.
Yeah, that would be weird. So as far as the money on the citation, because it looks to me like basically like a extortion. I mean, to put it bluntly, it's pay or this consequence will happen. And it's up to me, the accused, to prove my innocence. Whereas normally in court, you're presumed innocent until you can be proven without any doubt that you're guilty.
And be very clear, this is not court. Know also, if you will, that just by virtue of all of the administrative work that goes into a citation, we generally end up losing money on each citation. Know also, if you will, that just by virtue of all of the administrative work that goes into a citation, we generally end up losing money on each citation. It is not a profit-generating machine, as a lot of people tend to believe, and we do, we need to provide a certain portion of each citation to the state, to the county, to the government. So it's not it's not a moneymaker for the city. It's not what you think.
But you're saying that you actually lose money?
It is not the moneymaker that people think. As far as, one might get a ticket and pay right away, and another one might get a ticket and take it all the way to the end, and the two are going to wash out. As far as staff time, as far as the administrative portion of it, back and forth, the photographs, the printing copies. Let's say you were going to contest this all the way, take it all the way to the period. Okay?
Right.
If you were to fill out the administrative review form, we need to print it out on this end, get it over to the police department, who reviews it, again, staff time. Let's say this is a $38 ticket, okay? The staff time, they review it, they send their findings and determinations, it gets back to us, we log it in the computer. We scan it, we encode this in the computer again then, we mail you another letter notifying you that you have been found liable, and then there's postage and printing and all of that. And we tell you the next step is if you want to have it contested, you would pay the fine, and then you can have it heard in a neutral setting at the sheriff's station. That'll be your next step. So now the city's got your $38. You take it all the way to the hearing officer, and the hearing officer decides, you know what, you are guilty, and then you take it from there to Superior Court. You pay your filing fees, You have it heard in Superior Court. They overturn it. We give you $38 back. And in essence, the city has spent a lot more than $38 in the administration portion of that ticket. And that's one of, maybe 50 that were written in, a 6-month period that are doing this. I don't know.
Right.
I don't have the statistics on that.
How doesn't the city go broke?
Issuing parking citations is not done as a reason to generate revenue. Parking citations are issued so that people do not just willy-nilly park wherever they want, on sidewalks, on lawns, in crosshatches of handicap, blocking sidewalks. That's a huge ADA violation. And people do it all the time. They'll take their truck, it's just there for a minute, and they're unloading groceries, and then somebody in a wheelchair comes by and can't even get by on the sidewalk. And the ADA needs to know that the local municipality is issuing citations for that so it doesn't get out of control. So this is not meant to generate revenue for the city.
All right.
The fact that the city loses money on doing parking citations, if they do, and I don't have the bottom dollar on that, it's not set up to make money. It's set up to ensure that people are adhering to the local laws. It's not set up to make money. It's set up to ensure that people are adhering to the local laws. It's quite bureaucratic. It's quite bureaucratic. It's quite bureaucratic.
Okay, well, a couple things. I just wanted to kind of clarify, and I really appreciate your patience and
Sure.
Your conversation. The money, you get paid, right? Regardless of whether or not the citations are generating revenue, you get a paycheck, and so does everybody else in the administrative process. Yeah.
Yes.
In the whole court, and everybody still gets their salaries and their paychecks.
Here. Whether you get a ticket or not, we are still here.
Right. So the money comes from somewhere, and it comes from taxes and other sources, right, through the government and whatnot, right? All right. So just so that I understand that.
Other sources. You're talking to me.
Right.
I'm in customer services division.
You're by the hour or salary, either way. You're still going to get paid for our conversation, right?
I don't know if maybe a neighbor called in. We never know. We don't get those calls here. I don't know if maybe a neighbor called in. We never know. We don't get those calls here. What evidence?
Yeah, what?
In your heart, and you don't have to answer this, okay? Here's your evidence for your info. In your heart, was your car parked there in excess of 72 hours? Again, don't answer me.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be your evidence. Just because an officer cited the vehicle for that makes me think there was some reason they felt that it was there over 72 hours, if that's what it is. I'm not even sure, actually.
Right.
Whatever reason the officer or the issuing party, whether it was an officer, non-sworn or sworn, issued that citation, they had to have some sort of inkling. It's a safety issue or not, that's not an issue here. It's listed on that list of violations. When you park.
So let me just clarify. It's basically applicable because the law says it's applicable, or it's applicable because it's actually got some substance behind the reasoning. Because that kind of sounds arbitrary, doesn't it?
Same though? Isn't that one and the same?
Well, not necessarily. That's why I'm asking.
Did something.
What's that?
If somebody thinks with a reasonable, I'm not even talking officers, but
right.
In life, if somebody thinks you did something and they have reasonable proof of such, did somebody feel that this ticket was justified? Was it because they felt like it, or was it because it was hurting somebody? I'm not sure that's quite what you're asking, but I'm trying to give a bizarre, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Right.
But I think that just by virtue of you having received the citation and that there are pictures, that perhaps the issuing officer or entity was fairly certain that this was a violation that had occurred.
Well, I'm not questioning whether or not they had the opinion that a violation had occurred. My question's more or less whether or not any violation, any code, is applicable to any particular person.
Somebody, when they wrote those vehicle codes, somebody had to have a reason for it. I don't know what that is, but there's a whole bunch of people that had a reason for that.
So if I feel like I've got a reason to go out and put a note on somebody's car and tell them that if they don't move this because I say that it's there too long, I'm going to charge them money, and if they don't pay me the money, I'm going to come and take their vehicle.
Okay, but is it your city street or is it the city's city street?
Well, then we can get into the whole discussion about, like,
I mean, do you have the authority to tell them they can't park there?
does anybody?
Yes, the police department, the city
Uh-huh.
has a duty to monitor what goes on in the city and to make sure laws are adhered. You may be upset, but your recourse would be to contact the police and notify them, hey, this car is parked here too long, which may or may not have been the reason you got a citation. I don't know.
Yeah, like the Constitution,
Well,
like
up to your
any of that.
entity to enforce it as such. In order to do that, it would have to be a recognized entity. Like the U.S. Constitution was just a group of people who sat around and wrote something. There was a little bit more involved in that, representatives from each state and so on and so forth. And here in the city of we have the city council who kind of administers the same thing. We have rules and regulations, and there's a recognized authoritative body whose job it is to regulate that.
Okay, so two questions on that, what you just said. Who is obligated to adhere to that authority, and who grants that authority to the people that think they have the authority?
The state of California. The state of California gives each municipality the regulatory rights with their police force to enforce the local laws and regulations. The government of the United States allows each state to enforce as such.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to the Constitution. The Constitution gives each state the authority to police its own laws and regulations. The Constitution gives each state the authority to police its own laws and regulations. The Constitution gives each state the authority to police its own laws and regulations.
Well, okay, so since we're on the subject of the Constitution, because if the Constitution applies, which I don't necessarily think that it does or doesn't, I just have some questions about it, but if it does apply, then wouldn't a parking violation that's demanding money be a violation of that? Wouldn't that be a threat of extortion?
No.
No? Don't I have to do something in order to take care of this that's out of my outside of my liberty? Or, I mean, what?
Now, they did not did not seize your assets.
They will if I don't pay.
Because they're giving you notice of the steps that need to be taken.
So if I notify people that I have the intent to harm them, then that's okay to harm them if they don't do what I say?
Of course not.
Then who?
It would be considered like fighting words.
Right.
Which is against
that's what
the Constitution.
Right. So how is it that the people in government, just whoever, that feel that they have the authority to do that, how did they get that authority? Who delegated that authority? If I don't have the authority, if I don't have the right to do it.
Legalese stuff, okay? I cannot answer that.
Right. No, I know. We're just having a conversation. I'm just wondering.
And I appreciate
it's kind of like if I don't have the power to do something, how can I delegate the power to do what I can't do to somebody else?
Okay, you lost me there. I'm not sure. I might need an example.
Like if like I said before, if I got together with a couple of my friends and we wrote something and we said, okay, well, this whole territory has to abide by this. And if they don't, then we're going to give the authority to those guys over there with guns to go and make sure that those people in that territory do what we say is on this piece of paper.
Okay, who owns the territory? Let's start with that.
Well, how do you? Okay, yeah. Let's start with
the
who owns.
territory?
How did
It's
the
owned by someone else.
how did the territory become acquired?
Well, I don't know. You're the one that said you guys were in this territory doing this.
Well, if I'm just like taking over,
Yeah.
right, by force, then I can just stick a stick in the ground and call it mine, right?
Not here in America.
Well, isn't that what America did to begin with? I mean,
Well, they
if we're going back in history, we can go.
Revolutionary War. There was a whole war, and we kind of won the right to kick the Brits out and took over, which is how the Constitution started. And
Yeah, I
the
don't.
Constitution was laid out so that we could live free and fairly reasonably expect to be protected by the government for the choice to live here freely.
Well, I don't know if you know or not, but the what do you call it? The Supreme Court ruled that the government has no duty to protect the individual. So, but they demand a duty from the individual for allegiance. So it's not a reciprocal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So a non-reciprocal relationship sounds like somebody is winning and the other person is losing. It's not one for one. It's not a mutual. It may be mutual because people agree to things that they don't understand all the time, but it's not mutually beneficial.
And you're probably already familiar with it, but if you read Article 1 of the Constitution, Section 8, it kind of outlines all of the things that we should and should not do. Like you and I can't go off coin money, okay? We can't have a separate currency. We can't invade the state. We can't. It kind of outlines everything very clearly there, but I think we are so far off topic at this point. We're going to send it to PD. They're going to review it. They're going to get back to us in 1 to 2 business days, and we're going to notify you in writing that you were either found liable or not liable. And that form itself has, what you do if you're found liable, what to do if you're not liable. And we'll send the explanation that comes with the review when it comes back, and we'll mail it to you at your mailing address. You have to pay it at that point in order to contest it further, but the information will be on that form.
Wait, so either way, I gotta pay the amount?
Well, not if it's overturned. If you're found not liable, no, you're done.
Okay. Is there a fee for the administrative review form being submitted?
No.
Okay, because a friend of mine.
Saying we usually lose money. We've already lost money on you. We've already lost money on you. We've already lost money on you.
Yeah.
But it's not. That's not why they do this parking citation program. So that's not an issue and shouldn't be an issue, and it's not.
And you said that the purpose of this parking citation program is listed in these vehicle codes in the government code and the.
Yes. The
Okay.
government code's going to govern that section of it.